Yes, Mr. Shaskalsin.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Sibanyoni, we had been talking about your text to then Minister Cele. We've been through that text. We've engaged with you on the issues that you raise, or on the text and indirectly on the issues you raise on 83.1 to 83.4. Maybe if you can pick up at page 32, paragraph 84.
Thank you.
Can we pick up at page 32, paragraph 84?
Okay. Should I continue? Okay.
Yes, please do.
Right. Minister Cele did respond to me. He did so by telephone. The response was notable for its brevity and its remarkable nonchalance. He said the following in isiZulu: ufuna ngenzeni mina ngoba vele ngiyabulala namateksini. Translated with precision, the minister asked rhetorically what he was supposed to do when people in the taxi industry were killing one another.
So can I just stop you there? Your text does refer to killings of people in the taxi industry, but it also refers to a cabal that is controlling, or that is affecting service delivery around Tshwane, and it refers to senior SAPS officials linked to that cabal. Was there any response that you received from Minister Cele beyond this flippant statement about the taxi industry?
Not at all.
Thank you. Can you continue?
The Commission must weigh carefully what this response reveals. The political head of the South African Police Service was informed by a named civilian that very senior SAPS officials were participating in the criminal cartel that was responsible for killings within the taxi industry. His response was not to convene an urgent meeting. It was not to initiate any inquiry. It was not even to ask a follow-up question. It was in effect a shrug. The Commission is respectfully invited to consider what that response communicates about the institutional environment that existed at the time and what it meant for a civilian who has taken a significant personal risk to report what he knew. I was not prepared to accept that dismissal. I specifically requested Minister Cele to convene a dedicated taxi indaba at the very least, as a structured forum for engagement on the issues. He rejected that proposal on the ground that no one would be willing to come forward with the facts except for me alone. I persisted. I attempted to persuade him that the interest of the industry and of the lives being lost within it warranted a more sustained institutional response. I failed. The political leader responsible for policing in this country was presented with intelligence about criminal conduct within a critical sector of the national transport network by a person who had risked his own safety to come forward and choose to take no action. That failure is not a peripheral detail. It is a documented and a significant failure of political leadership in the face of organized crime intelligence.
Again, can I stop you there? You talk about asking him to convene a dedicated taxi indaba. How and when did you make that request?
There's a matter of urgency.
No, but I mean,
when
you write to him?
When he responded to me.
Is there any written record?
No, but when he responded to me telephonically. Yes.
So that statement that you attribute to him was a telephonic statement?
Correct.
And in that conversation, you asked for the taxi indaba?
Correct, yeah.
And he said no. Please continue.
Approximately 3 months after After sending that message to Minister Cele in August 2022, gunmen opened fire on my vehicle. I was shot twice. I survived. I record this sequence with the precision it deserves and for a specific reason. I'm accurately aware that this commission may ask whether there is any connection between my reporting of criminal intelligence to Minister Cele and the subsequent attempt of my life. I do not speculate on any casual link. I make no such allegation in this statement. I simply record the sequence with exactness and under oath because the sequence in the evidence I reported 3 months past I was shot. The commission may draw its own conclusion from the proximity of these events. I ask only that it note them. 87. After the attempt of my life, with no resolution in sight from the Minister of Police, I went to meet the Minister of Transport, the Honorable Minister Sindisiwe Chikunga. I did so in a capacity as a political principal of the department responsible for governing the taxi industry in which my life has been endangered. This meeting was in marked contrast to my engagement with Minister Cele substantively fruitful. Minister Chikunga listened, she engaged with the information I provided about the state of the industry, the pattern of killings, and the institutional failures that had enabled them. Most significantly, and most constitutionally troubling, the minister disclosed that she was aware that certain officials within the Department of Transport have divided allegiances and that some of these officials answered not to the department, but to the farm. That disclosure was solicited. It was volunteered by Cabinet Minister about her own officials. The Commission must understand the constitutional weight of that revelation. The Cabinet Minister responsible for governing a national significant transport sector was acknowledging in direct terms and that her own officials had been captured by a private individual operating from a private farm. This is not a footnote. It is a direct evidence of institutional capture at the highest level of department governance.
And can I ask, did the minister identify any particular people who were answering to the farm?
No, he didn't mention. He just mentioned bluntly so.
And when you say that you reported to the minister about the patterns of killings and the institutional failures that had enabled them, what institutional failures were you referring to?
The same, the minister of Cele saving it. I was giving that example because I was come from Minister Cele.
So you were referring only to the fact that Minister Cele was apparently uninterested in the issue?
Correct.
Okay. Can we then proceed back to... Sorry, had we got to 89 or yeah, to 89?
Sorry, before that, the meeting with Minister Chikunga, when was that?
Not sure about the date, but it was after my shootings.
In 2024, 23?
No, 2020. It can be 2023.
23.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can you pick up at paragraph 89?
Okay. The sequence must be understood in its entirety and with clarity. I reported the criminal consent to Mr. Cele in May 2022. I was shot in August 2022. I reported thereafter to Minister Chikunga, to MEC Mamabulo, and ultimately to General Mkhonazi in 2024. At every stage, I was the one pressing the state to act. I was not the one protecting criminals. I was not obstructing investigations. I was advancing them. That is not the sequence of events of a cartel member. That is the sequence of events of a target who refused to be silenced.
Can I ask you, before you go forward, you refer to a meeting or a report to MEC Mamabolo. When was that report made?
To MEC Mamabolo, it was not once. It was during that time because as the minister that was around Gauteng and I was in Gauteng, it was easy for me to advance and give a cry to him.
And did you meet with him in person? Did
Yes.
you write to him?
No, I met him in person.
And what were you reporting to him?
In a nutshell, I was trying to report the frustration that I and the other members have, and give him a bigger picture if maybe he needs an understanding. And we did talk a lot about that. But at the end of the day, it ended up where it ended. I was still suppressed.
And were you asking him specifically to do something about the fact that you had been shot at?
No, not really shot at. I mean, the issue of me being shot at is a matter of the police. Him specifically as the MEC for transport, because my rights of being a taxi owner was vindicated. I was no more operating.
Sorry,
I was no more operating.
and that was because after having been shot, you...
No, before being shot. As I was always trying to talk to Mr. Cele, I was also wanted to indicate to him that I was not operating, but that belongs to the MEC for transport. Then I went to the minister, to the MEC for transport, to indicate that at the same time, I'm not operating.
And why were you not operating before you were shot?
No, my vehicles were just stopped. Mr. Sibi stopped my vehicle from operating.
Sorry, who stopped your vehicles?
Sibi stopped my vehicle from operating.
Msibi stopped your vehicles from operating?
Yes.
He and his people would prevent your vehicles from entering a rank?
Yes.
And where did this take place and when?
At the beginning of 2020. For an example, just at the beginning of 2020, it just happened that we had to go to COVID. So everyone stopped operating because of the result of the COVID. But when everything was coming down, COVID-3, COVID-2, as the president was always saying, my vehicles were totally not allowed to come back to operation up until 2024.
So from 2020 to 2024, you were out of the industry?
Sure.
And physically, how did this happen? I mean, was it with threats of violence to the drivers?
Yeah, at the time I couldn't go and access the taxi rank at that time. So once you send your driver to the taxi rank, easily as all that, they'll chuck him away.
Perhaps if I could assist. I think the witness will go, Mr. Sibanyoni will go into detail about when he was out of the industry for the first time, when we speak about the 2006-7 attempt on his life. And I think to adopt a more systemic approach to his evidence, perhaps if, with respect, perhaps if Mr. Chaskelson could maybe go to that event, because that leads into whatever happens in 2004. And and I think it's very important that the Commission gets that background.
2004, 2022.
2022, 2024, because there's quite a bit that happens in that time frame. So I think we do deal with it. I think from paragraph
Well, it's the
91.
next paragraph, so let's go there, and if we need to come back to anything, we can.
Okay.
So if you can pick up at paragraph 90.
I'm sorry about that.
Okay, B2, the first assassination attempt of 2006. In August 2022, attack was not the first time criminal forces had tried to kill me. In or around 2006 or 7, I was a victim of a first assassination attempt arising from the taxi industry violence. The attempt was not casual, it was targeted. It succeeded in wounding me, and it succeeded in forcing me out of the industry for approximately 2 years, during which period I removed myself from the taxi environmental in order to survive. I only returned to the industry in or around 2008 The Commission must also understand what returns represent. A person who was the target of a serious assassination attempt, who was forced to abandon an industry he had spent years building, and who then returned to build the same industry at the national level, is not a person operating from a position of criminal impunity and protection. A person who is protected does not need to hide. A person who is powerful does not need to flee. The fact that I fled and that I returned is itself evidence of the position I occupied, not as a predator within the industry, but as a target within it. The precise details of the first attempt are confirmed through the records of the Shonga Commission and will be provided in Annex J. Number 91, a person who was targeted in and around 2006 or 7, who was forced out of an industry for 2 years in order to survive, and who then returned to lead and build that industry through legitimate organizational structures, is not and cannot, on any rational analysis, be understood to be a person who operates from a position of criminality, power, and impunity. The conduct of a criminal boss is to consolidate, to expand, and to deploy violence against others. The conduct of a person who flees, survives, returns, and builds is the opposite. That return was not the act of a criminal boss. It was an act of a committed community leader who refused to be driven out of the legitimate industry he had chosen as his life's work.
Maybe if I can interrupt at this point, can you give us details of that 2006 assassination attempt and why you say that Mr. Msibi was behind it?
At the time, or on that fateful day, he invited me to his house, which is something normal. Then I went to his house. Then after that, it was on a Friday. I was supposed to go on a social gathering with my friends. Yes, I went out. Nothing sinister was happening that could tell what was going to happen. Me arriving at the social club in the evening, engaging with other people that were there, I felt that I was not safe through those engagements, particularly a certain gentleman. I faced him at the time. Seeing from his eyes, I could tell that something's not okay here. Then,
and this was at the social
yes,
engagement?
Yeah, just at the social. Then, from there, I decided to leave because of me not feeling okay and understanding my feelings at the time. I opted to leave the premises, right? Just to say goodbye to anyone, as if there's nothing happening. And I was with a friend. It was in one of the golf estates here in Pretoria North, in Acacia, to put it straight. Then when I left the premises, on an exit gate, that's where we were shot at. Unfortunately, my friend passed on. I survived through getting out of the vehicle. I ran out for my safety. Then I survived to the hospital. 4 or 5 days later, I asked for an early acquittal from the hospital so that people must not follow me from the hospital. Subsequent to that, we had a meeting as an organization as to why was I shot. Because when I was shot, the person who shot me, I saw him. He was one of from Civis Alliance. Therefore, I needed an answer as to how I saw this particular person. Can he just explain why did he shoot at me? Because at that time, I didn't suspect anything. Months passed, everything went okay. On this particular evening, in my house, the meeting was held. Then Mr. Msibi announced to me that the matter that is here is not a tax-related matter. It's my matter outside that, therefore, it's not a tax-related matter. He's out of my life. Reading from those statements, I could see that danger is coming. I decided to flee the taxi industry and go for a trucking business. As to how so simple as all that, during my time when I was recovering, my friends that I had during the network have been advising me left and right as to I need to exit this dangerous place and try something else. For sure, one of them helped me to get a connection of the truck business. Then I went to truck business. So I worked in the truck business for almost 3 years. Then therefore I was out from the taxi industry. It just happened after 3 years, we encountered recession. And when we encountered recession, the business was not doing well at all. Then in my mind, the taxi industry came into place. As to how am I going to go back, it was a mammoth task, I must say it. But I had a strategy. I put my frustration into the media so that they can hear it loud. It was the first week and the second week of Sunday World that assisted me that the government must intervene. Yes, for sure, through that noise, the government intervened. The meeting was held in the Department of Transport here with all stakeholders invited. There was the register for Gauteng was there. The industry representatives were there. In that meeting, I was allowed to come back. And what made me...
Sorry, was Mr. Msibi at that meeting?
Yes, he was there.
And
I pointed him outright in that meeting that I'm not operating just because of him. Therefore, so that the politics within the taxi industry must be directed to him or me, that's it, nobody else. Then with that approach, the meeting ended up that I must come back to operation. And what made me to be comfortable coming back at the time, though it was dangerous, most members of the organizations were no more there. Therefore, there was no danger for me. It was for a matter of me concentrating on one person or two, that's it. That's why I decided to come back.
When you say most members were not there, is it that they had exited or they had been killed?
They've been killed, yeah.
And you say you were able to identify the shooter.
Yes.
And did you lodge an attempted murder case?
The attempted murder case was there automatically so.
Did you give a statement to the police?
No, I didn't give the statement.
Why not?
I was afraid of Msibi at the time. And it's not that I didn't give a statement to the police, but to them I told them what I saw and what I think did happen. But I didn't go to the police.
So, to whom did you...
At the time, it was...
You say, I told them what I saw and what happened.
Yeah, it was the executive of the association.
The whole executive, the executive of Santaco?
No, our local operation.
And who was on that executive? Was Msibi one of the members of the executive?
Yeah, Msibi was there.
And is that person who shot you still alive today?
No, he's not alive.
Are you able to mention his name?
I'll remember it just now as we talk, but I know his name very well.
And you know his relationship to Msibi?
Yes, I was a very close person to him.
This meeting, Mr. Sibanyoni?
Yes.
This meeting, did it include law enforcement officers?
No, that one didn't. The law enforcement was only for me coming back.
Yes, I mean that meeting.
Yes, yeah.
That meeting, they were involved.
There.
And at what level of seniority did you have people there?
I think the highest person in government was the registrar of Gauteng.
Okay. I've never heard of that title. Is that in transport? Someone in transport?
In transport, yes, yeah.
Okay. And from the police?
It is now called PRE, I think. The register, I think for now it's called PRE, yes, yeah.
Okay.
Then from the police,
yes, sir.
Though I couldn't identify them one by one, but for the mere fact, the Department of Transport is here in town. Up there is the office of the police. So I consulted with them prior to the meeting so that they must come and give assurance of the movement of the meeting and making sure that I'm part of the meeting so that I can also divulge what I need to tell them so that they can understand the broader spectrum of the industry.
Yes.
And for me, doing that action made me easy because it was not difficult for me to mention that it's him who's taken me out. Therefore, he was supposed to respond on that allegation. Then the end result was I must come back to the operation. But it was commissioners, police commissioners at that level.
A provincial commissioner?
No, national commissioner. Their offices are here at the Department of Transport. Yeah.
So you had engaged with the national commissioner around this issue before you had the meeting with the Department of Transport?
Not particularly the head of national. You've got commissioners within the stages of the police force. I'm quite aware with that commissioner that I was speaking to. He's a commissioner. His title is a commissioner.
And who was that police officer?
Come again?
Who was that commissioner?
I just forgotten the name now, but I can get the name because I was used to communicating with him at the time. But it was a police commissioner. And why I was having to communicate, I had a friend, late Commissioner Mulapa, who assisted me with the level of putting that matter to the commissioners. Hence, I got to talk to the commissioners.
So after you returned in 2009, were you, well, it wasn't in 2009, it would have been later because you had withdrawn
Yeah, it can be
in
9.
2000.
It can be 9.
It was 2009.
2009, yes. Sir.
Yeah. Did you have a relatively peaceful time in the industry going forward from 2009 for some years?
Not at the beginning of 2009, as years goes by.
And what did you encounter at the start of your return in 2009?
Okay. At the taxi rank, sometimes you'll be allowed to operate with 3 or 4 vehicles. So at the time of my exit, I had 20 vehicles. So coming back under those circumstances, I was only allowed to operate with 4 vehicles. Of which for me, it was 1 leg inside. I agreed to that, but I took the matter to court to fight for the remaining 16 vehicles. I took the matter to court here in Pretoria. Then the matter was heard. On the verge of an order being given, because me supplementing my request for the court to intervene, for me I had all the facts because I had licenses for the vehicle, I had documentation and recommendation letters from the association, I had permits for the vehicle. Therefore, for me it was easy, a winnable case outside the politics of the taxi industry.
Can I just, before you continue, who were the respondents? Who were the people who were preventing you from operating with more than 4 vehicles?
At the time, I mentioned him as well. The executive, when you write to an association doing an application, you name all the executive of those associations, and I added up his name on top of that.
So the people saying you can only have 4 vehicles, was that the executive of the association and MCB?
Correct.
Sorry.
And sorry, Mr. Chaskasi. And this, you being permitted to return, but only 4 vehicles, was that said and
In a
agreed to in a meeting that has these state officials?
Correct, yes. And I even raised it up to them that I'm not satisfied. And hence I also indicated to him, that officer, that I'm taking this matter to court. But for the mere fact that 1 leg is in, for me it was better than nothing. Hence fighting for the court to solve my issues.
Thank you.
And what then happened? You start off, you're getting to the point of winning this case, and
Yeah.
and does the case settle?
Then on the day when the matter was heard, their defense asked for a postponement of that order, citing his reasons, though it was almost evidently so that the order was going to be given. He forcefully asked for the postponement based on his own reasons. Then the court gave him that allowance that the matter can be postponed, maybe for 3 or 4 days, so that the order must be given. Just after that, 2 days after that, I got a call from Sibe that we need not to take this route. Can we just sit down and talk this matter over, unlike the court deciding for us? I agreed to that. The meeting was held in Durban. Then we had to agree that I must come back forcefully so with my own vehicles. Then happy I was. Then I got back to operation up until now that I was taken out again on operation. Therefore, that sequence, I understand it very well, to be in operation and not to be in operation.
This meeting at which he agreed that you could come back in full operation, when did that take place?
It was in the same year. It can be the same year, but I will never agree with the date, but same year, towards the end of the year. The court, maybe it was in June, July, same year, August, then we went to meet in Durban.
And was there any reason why you met in Durban? Were you involving national taxi associations?
No, it was just a venue, because he also said he was not safe. He also said to me he was not safe. Then let's go to a neutral venue.
And how did your relationship develop with MCB after that? This is 2009.
Yes.
You've come back into the industry. Your statement jumps to about 2019.
Okay.
What happened in the 10 years in between?
So, me coming back after that, I've mentioned that a lot of people were no more there. That forced me out of the industry in 2006 and 2007. So, me coming back as an operator, he asked me to be his assistant, because no more senior people are in the industry. I accepted that. Then, as you normally meet and talk and move the industry forward, we develop a kind of a friendship. And I was given some specific tasks. And the tasks that I loved more was taking care of the widows that we had at the time. There were many. I took upon that task upon myself as to I must make their life better, which are the tasks that I did up until 2019 or early 2020s. And some other engagements within the taxi industry. I was there in terms of making sure that there is peace in the industry where I can assist.
And then if you can go back to your statement, paragraph 92, you talk about the lead up to the second attempt on your life.
Should I read it out again?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Number 92, the circumstances leading to the first attempt on my life and the events that escalated towards the 2022 attempt are deeply intertwined. In and around 2019, as Mr. Msibi approached 60 years of age, he communicated to me that the mutual agreement we had made in good faith, to the effect that each of us will retire from the industry upon reaching 60 years of age, was no longer operative. His words, as I clearly recall them, were to effect that this is a taxi business, we die working. I received those words not merely as a change of plans. They were spoken by a man who had years earlier already sent people to kill me. In that context, we die working was not simply an expression of commitment to the industry, is communicated with unmistakable implication, a change disposition towards me, that the agreed upon terms of our coexistence were being unilaterally revoked, and that the protection I had understood to exist within the framework of our mutual agreement could no longer be assumed. I received those words as a communication of renewed and escalating danger.
So, can I just stop there? You say you and Mr. Msibi had previously had an agreement that you would each retire at 60.
Correct.
And did you expect to succeed Mr. Msibi when he retired before you?
Yes.
And then as he approached his retirement age, he decided he didn't want to retire.
Correct.
And when you talk about the framework of your mutual agreement, did that agreement encompass anything more than he was going to retire at 60 and you would succeed him? Was there anything, I mean, what was this mutual agreement you're talking about?
As I came back to come and assist, working closely with him, we become friends. Though he was a little bit older, we became friends. Then therefore, as we planned, we need to have an exit plan because the industry is not a nice space to be. You cannot live and die within the industry. Therefore, we were, as friends, as we were speaking, we agreed that we cannot die being in the industry through the barrel of a gun. Therefore, what the plan was, which age do I think can fit us both? We came to agree that 60 years will be a very fair age, whilst you're still energetic. Now you can start traveling the world, you can start engaging other people outside of South Africa, Africa, and the whole world. That age even suits me better at the time we agreed upon that. But it was a verbal agreement, which at the time, as friends, you can agree upon that. It's normal.
And that was the extent of the agreement,
Yes,
that he
sir.
would step down at 60, you would take over at that
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I don't quite see the escalation of danger from his words. This is the taxi business, we die working. Why is it that those words merely meant that he no longer wanted to retire? Where's the escalation of danger to you in particular in those words?
Yeah, I offered an alternative to his words, that if he's not retiring, can I retire then? I offered that to him. Then he simply said no to that. Then it triggered me, that thing. Why should I, when I want to retire from within this space, should I not be allowed? How so does this happen? If you retire, it doesn't mean that you stop operating. You just retire from the point of influence, from the point of having meetings of the taxi industry. You take a step back so that you continue just to enjoy your life. Because once you become a leader in the industry, your normal life stops. Your day-to-day life stops. You travel a lot, you sleep outside, you into making decisions that are not favorable to other people. Therefore, you always make enemies directly and indirectly so. Therefore, for me, it doesn't sound good when it comes to that. At the point, I just need to retire and live my life with my family, like any other person after that. So him not allowing me to retire after he said we die here, triggers a lot to myself, that it cannot happen like this. I cannot foresee something 10 years ago and come again and renew it now.
Unless you explain more, if you say to him, if you're not retiring, I'm retiring, and he says, please don't, I'm working very well with you, please do not.
No, it was not nice.
So you've not explained that though,
Yes,
so that's why I still don't see the escalation of danger, escalation by him towards you.
It was not nicely outspoken to me. I can give an example, Commissioner. Maybe you are giving me a question about that. I will just repeat as if it's him talking to me now.
Please do, please
Okay,
do.
here we are now. Brother, I think as we have agreed, we are now closing to your retirement. Do you have anything that we can talk about it? Because we have been talking about it, so now it's coming closer. That's him responding to my statement. What do you mean? I taught you the ins and outs of this industry. Now you're putting back into my face that you want to retire. You will retire after me being retiring. This is the taxi industry, Papa. Do you get me what I'm saying? So he was putting, I was a little bit frightened. I could hear him what he means that. Therefore, those words on its own and the facial impression about him uttering those words were too dangerous to me. And from that instance, because we were nice in talking about that, if you were to get into where we were talking, you will be convinced that I swear at him. But knowing me, talking to him in that way, I could see now that things will never be the same. Because the year is coming now, then I must still be here. Then I must start thinking the other way around. And I offer this gently so, because maybe he feels energetic. Let me then retire. Me retiring means I will leave my vehicle operating and go enjoy my life outside the taxi industry.
It's still trying to understand that conversation and what you made of it. If you are to offer an opinion, why would he not have wanted you to retire if that was your wish? And he was tying you down to the security, to the industry in the way that you understood him?
It triggered me back to 2006 and 7. It triggered me exactly to that point, as if I see 2006, 7 coming again. And why so coming? Because within our space, me coming back, a lot of taxi owners were no more there. I was the only person senior to him in terms of operation. Hence, I'm explained my years of being a taxi owner in the industry. Even as we speak, you'll find that 2% of the ownership of the people of the industry are my age and the experience we've got. But 95, 96, all of them, they are new. I'm not sure whether you get me, Commissioner.
No, not quite. I guess it's trying to understand whether him not wanting you to leave the industry is because, well, not to leave your leadership position, because I understand it to be about leadership position. Him not wanting you to leave the leadership position, did you consider him to be setting you up for harm? And to what end? Why would he have, in your thinking then, and what you knew at the time, why he would have wanted to set you up for harm instead of letting you leave according to your wish?
Yeah, Commissioner, it's me alone thinking whilst we're talking with him, the tone and the expression that he gives unto me, automatically taking me back to 2006 and 7, as to this is the beginning of another war that I will never survive. Therefore, I must come up with a plan as to how do I move out of this. But me not showing him that I'm sensing something is coming.
Did you think that he may have been thinking you're leaving, if you left, you would go and set up something which is competition with him, and he would rather therefore have you inside, so to speak, than you saying I'm retiring, and then he runs the risk that you would go and be a competitor in something else that he's involved with?
Yes, he knows exactly when I was saying I was retiring, for sure, because I'll map up my way forward so that I don't participate anymore. Not even with an inch, I'm not participating, yeah.
Commissioner Beloy, Chairperson, may we be of assistance to the Commission? Perhaps Mr. Sibanyoni must be given an opportunity, and I know what the Commission is trying to establish from him and the nexus that the Commission wants him to draw for the benefit of this Commission. I think it would be prudent, and if one reads further on, and there are a few things that are not in his statement, perhaps Mr. Sibanyoni can speak about the transition of Mr. Msibi from his residence in Pretoria to the farm, which was from 2019 to early 2020. And
may I say this? Please be careful, though, not to, in your suggestions, to at the same time suggest answers to
Not
Mr.
at all.
Please be, it's a very thin dividing line. It's a
Absolutely.
very, very thin
I
dividing
appreciate that,
It may not be intended. I'm not suggesting that it's intended.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that, and I'm very cognizant of that. And I don't think Mr. Sibanyoni has a problem with me assisting the Commission in this regard. And perhaps he can talk about that, and the nexus will then come to fruition with regards to further discussions between himself and Mr. Msibi in relation to the very issue in which the general belief or further belief of fear had been instilled, where he genuinely believed that his life was in danger. And perhaps maybe he can talk a bit about that.
But are those facts that are around the same incident of the announcement that Mr. Msibi was no longer retiring?
Absolutely.
Because we are asking questions that relate to that conversation.
It's
and Mr. Sibanyoni's belief that there was now, after this statement by Mr. Msibi, there was now an escalation or renewed danger.
Absolutely.
Because if it's facts at a later stage, those will not necessarily answer the questions we are putting to Mr. Sibanyoni. Do you get my point?
I appreciate it very much,
Yes,
Chairperson.
yes.
And it's very much correct, because there's an intrinsic link to that conversation that took place between Mr. Msibi and Mr. Sibanyoni. And on that very day, and subsequent events that followed immediately thereafter, it's intrinsically linked. One cannot separate that meeting, that discussion that took place between Mr. Sibanyoni and Mr. Msibi, which instills the fear. So
you see, I would understand you referred to other issues which, from what you say, appear to have been at a later stage. But of course, you do also say there is something, or there are facts that were on the same day.
Yes.
I would understand only the latter. But subsequent events, I would understand if we were to say, and this is further supported by. But that's not the point Mr. Sibanyoni is making. Mr. Sibanyoni says, I was told by the late Mr. Msibi that he is no longer retiring.
yes,
In this industry, we die working. That's what he said. And then he says, from that I deduce that there was an escalation
yes,
of danger from him towards me.
absolutely.
That is why we are engaging him. And that is why I say, your point will only make sense to me if it is around that same discussion, nothing later or on some other day. Do you see what I mean? Because there is a definite conclusion founded specifically on the utterance.
I understand.
Yes.
And, I stand with the position that I've taken in the submissions that I've made. There's an intrinsic link on precisely the same issue.
Yes.
It's all events that happen on that day that has a consequential effect. And perhaps
Yes.
let's allow the witness to
Yes.
talk about it. It seems my colleague wants to take the commission into confidence and make a submission, with your leave.
Chair, I don't
That doesn't normally happen, and I would imagine that your junior should be in a position to state what she would want you to convey.
May I, with your leave?
Yeah, please.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
We're
yes.
most indebted to your indulgence, Chairperson.
Yes.
And perhaps let's allow the witness, let's allow Mr. Sibanyoni then maybe to explain the full extent of that engagement with Mr. Msibi. And I'm sure the picture will become all the more clearer. Thank you for the opportunity, Chairperson.
Thank you. I will ask this of you, Mr. Sibanyoni. From what you say in paragraph 92, it seems, in fact, it's quite clear, it's quite plain, that your inference that there was renewed and escalating danger, that inference comes only from the fact that Mr. CB had now said he had gone back on his undertaking to retire when he turned 60, and the manner in which he responded to you when you said, if he didn't retire, then you were going to retire. That is all you have told us.
Correct.
And that is all we understand to have caused you to have to draw this inference, the inference that there was now renewed and escalating danger. Is there anything else that caused you to draw that inference on that day?
No.
On that day?
No, nothing more or less on that day. My decision from that day, I will start moving back, not like cooperating as normal, because at the very same time, that was 2019, Commissioner. And in that space of hours communicating, at the time I was buying a farm. So therefore, for me, it tells a lot when you can't agree, there is a farm in between, I can't retire, a lot is coming to my mind.
Okay, now let me ask the next question. Your counsel, Mr. Abrams, said there's something in addition to the basis for you drawing this inference. There's something additional to that, which, based on what you've just said now, must be something that happened on some other day. What is it that happened on some other day that buttressed the inference that you had drawn?
Commissioner, I've just mentioned that he's now buying a farm. In the mix of things, we're not agreeing. He's buying a farm far away from Pretoria, and our fundamental business is here in Pretoria. If we were to leave to another place 1 hour away from here, it's going to be difficult for me and him to operate based on that distance. Therefore, knowing him back in 2005 and 6, me leaving Pretoria, always traveling to his farm was going to be dangerous for me. Then what I need to do is to start not meeting him regularly as we used. Yes, we will meet, but no more regularly, because we were at the center of the taxi industry. Our daily meeting at almost was 99%. Therefore, I must start reducing that. No more callings at night, no more leaving my duties to attend his duties, and just try to be protective at all costs. The only way for me to be protective was only to do that. No more being with him, start doing my own thing separately, so for my own safety. That's all.
So what you mean is that traveling between, was it Pretoria?
Yes, and the farm.
And the farm expose you to the risk of physical harm?
Correct, yeah.
All right, thank you. Anything else? Anything else?
No.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Chairperson.
You speak in paragraph 93 of Mr. Msibi stripping away your responsibilities as second in command and marginalizing you within the organizational structure. Can you give us some details of that?
I've mentioned already that I was in charge of making sure that the widows of our organizations are taken care of. It's a weekly, it's a daily work anyway to do it. So it needs someone who is operative every day in making sure that whatever promise we promised to deliver for all the widows, and subsequent to that, the elders of the industry must be taken care of. So it was my primary responsibility of making sure that there are no complaints in that regard.
And was this taken away from you?
Yes,
And when was that and to whom was it given?
beginning 2020.
Who succeeded you with that responsibility?
No one. He took it upon himself.
So he then
Yes.
took it back.
Just find out, these positions, your, Mr. Msibi's and yours, including the one that, the responsibility that eventually get taken away from you, were those elected positions?
No, his was not elected. His was not elected. Okay, let me say at the time, it was not an elective position. Yes, I was assisting someone elder as an experienced someone else. So therefore, the position that he was, it's a position that it's not going into election processes now and then. But by the time when he was in power then, that was 27 years ago, he was elected.
He was elected and then he stayed on.
He stayed
in the
on, yes,
position.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. The chairperson says he became a traditional leader. Thank you, Mr. Msibi.
Did you have any elected position within the association at that stage?
No, he was still there, 27 years.
Yes, but I mean, there's a whole exec. Did you have any formal elected position?
Okay, it differs this way. On local association, the local association that belongs to the organization where I'm the president now, there are elective processes in line with the constitution of Santaco. But in the position where you are an executive of Salbo, it's once it moves on. Like the chairman has said, it's a tradition kind of situation.
No, please. This was for Commissioner Baloi's ears only. I'll be in trouble with traditional leaders. And it was said in jest.
So we've established that the position doesn't give you any status within COGTA, but does it have, I'm struggling to understand, did he engage you, as it were, privately as his assistant while he occupied that position?
Yeah, it's easy to do that. Like me coming back within the taxi industry, as people were coming in for consultation with their problems or whatever, he will just inform them that in my absence, Joe Sibanyoni is there. And
So you were essentially an assistant to him?
correct.